Words on Daf Ayin Tes Samad Beis. The Gemara begins, Diyoi Kedei Lichtov, the amount of ink in order to be able to write with it, 2 letters. Tanam, we learned in Abraisa, Shtei Oisias B'Diyoi, 2 letters in ink. And as Rashi explains, when you just have plain dry ink, so the amount is 2 letters. Ushtei Oisias or Shtei Oisias B'Kolmis. Also, the amount of ink for to be able to write 2 letters in a quill. And shtei oisias bekalmarin. And also, amount of ink to write 2 letters in an inkwell. Boy Rave, so Rave asked the question, how about ois achas b'diyoi? You have the amount of ink to write 1 letter in the dry ink. Ois achas bekolmes, the amount of ink for 1 letter in the quill, or ois achas bekalmarin, or also combined with the ink for 1 letter in an inkwell. So you don't have amount of 2 for 2 letters in each one separately to be chayav for that, but you're going to combine ink for 1 letter in the dry ink together with something else, together with the quill or in the inkwell. Mahu, what's the halacha? Could we combine them or not? Teiku, the Gemara does not resolve this question. Omar Rave said, Hoitzi shtei oisias. A person carried out 2 oisias in the Rishus Harabim. So we learned already in the first Perek, what's the halacha of hitzah? There has to be an akira, you lift it up from a place, and a hanacha, you place it down. So here this individual carried out the ink of 2 oisias, and he did not place it down, there was no hanacha, but the kosvan keshehu mahalach. He wrote it, he took the ink in a quill that is, and he wrote it on a piece of paper while he's walking. Chayiv, he will be chayiv because ksivasan zu yanachasan. Writing it on the paper, that is their hanacha. You're placing it down when you're writing it. V'amar Rave, a similar thing Rave said, going back to what we said before. Hoitzi ois achas v'kosva. So before we were speaking about combining the ink in a quill, ink in an inkwell together, even though they're 2 separate things, could you combine them? So here Rava says, if you were moitzi, if you carry the ois achas, 1 letter, the kosva, and you wrote it, the chazar v'hoitzi ois achas v'kosva, then you carried another letter and you wrote it, potter, it'll be potter. What's the reason? My timer, v'idne the afke lebasraise. At the time that he took out the 2nd letter, chosale lishiyure de kamaise. It's already lacking from the shear of the 1st letter that he took out, as Rashi explains, because it gets dried up. So you can't combine the 2. Ve'amar Rava, similar halacha, Rava said, hoitzi chatzi greigeres achas. So when it comes to the shear of being moitzi on Shabbos, as we had before, when it comes to food that a person eats, it's a greigeres, it's the shear of a dry fig. So if you took out half of that size, v'hinicha, and you placed it down, and you took out another half of greigeres, v'hinicha, and you placed it down. Rishayna nase kemishakolta kelev oisha nisrafa upater. The first half that you took out, we consider it to be as if a dog grabbed it. It's not there anymore, oisha nisrafa, or it got burnt, and you pater. We do not combine the 2 halves of greigeres that you took out to be chayiv. Ve'amai, asks the Gemara, why shouldn't we combine it? Homancha, the first half you took out is there, and now you take out a 2nd half and you put it together, so you should combine the 2. Answers the Gemara, hachi kamar. This is what it means to say. Him kadam v'higbia rishayna kaidem anachas shniya. If you took out 1 half of greigeres and then you lifted it up before you brought out the 2nd half, then nasas rishayna kemishaniklatay shenisrafa upater. The first half that you put down is as if a dog took it away or it was completely burnt, and you pater. So to be chayiv, to taking out 2 half of greigeres is only if at the end you have a full greigeres there together that you took out. Now we're talking over here about a case of a person that did all this behelam echad in 1 shegig. If it was 2 halamas, then obviously you can't combine them. Even though he took out 2 half greigeres, behelam echad, so nevertheless over here by the malacha of Shabbos, we don't combine them. In other cases though, we find in such a thing in an Isser that was done behelam echad, 2 half shiurim, we do combine them. For example, when it comes to the halacha of a person eating chaylev, So if you ate a half a kazayis chaylev and another half a kazayis chaylev, behelam echad, you combine them to be chayav a korban chatas. Shabbos is different. And there's a letter from the Rebbe that's printed in Lekutei Sichos Chelik Yud Aleph in the Hisafis, where the Rebbe there talks about the malachas of Shabbos, that there's the question that's discussed in Achreinim regarding the malachas of Shabbos. The Rogatchover talks about it. The other Achreinim talk about this at length, whether the malacha, the main isser of the malacha is the action, the pu'ula that's done, or the result, the nifal, the final result of what the malacha brings about. Right over here in the Gemara, you have two half malachas that were done behelam echad, and the action of the malacha should combine to being a full malacha. But when you look at the final result of the malacha, when he placed down the second half greigeris, the first half greigeris was picked up already. So at the final result, in the nifal of the malacha, you don't see the combination, you can't combine both together. So over here we see, in this, at least in this malacha of Hitzah, that a main component of the malacha is the nifal, the fact that you have the full shear there in the final result of the malacha, and without that you're not chayiv. Mashenkein, when it comes to eating chayla, which I mentioned before, there the main chiyuv is the hana that the person is having of the isser. So if the person had the full hana of the full size of the isser, behelam echad, he would be chayiv for that. That's the main thing you look at over there. Let's continue the Gemara. Another example in this halacha. V'amarava, hoitzi chatzi greigeris. You took out a half a shear, a half a fig size. V'hinichan, you placed it down. V'chazar v'hoitzi chatzi greigeris, and you took out another half a shear. V'hevira derech aleha, and you passed it through on top of the first half a fig that's there. Chayiv, because you passed it through on top of it, that's enough to combine it, and you would be chayiv. Ask the Gemara, va'amai, why would that be enough to be chayiv? Halei noch, you didn't place it down on top of or together with the other half you took out, you just passed it through on top of it. So why should you be chayiv? There's no hanacha here. Answers the Gemara, kagoin shehivira toich shloisha. You pass through the second half on top of the first half within 3 tvachim. And within 3 tvachim it becomes like one, and therefore you're chayiv. Asks the Gemara, but v'ha'amar Rava said, toich shloisha l'Rabbanon tzarech hanacha. Even if it's within 3 tvachim, that's not considered to be a hanacha. According to the Rabbanon, you have to actually place it down, al gabi mashu. There has to be a hanacha on something to be chayiv. Right? This is going back to a machlokes that we had in the first Perek, and it's brought up later in the Gemara again, regarding kluta k'mishahuncha. Whether when something enters into the airspace somewhere, do we consider it as if it landed in that place, in that rishos, or does it have to actually land on something? So the Rabbanon argued with Rabbi Akiva there. Rabbanon hold it has to actually land on something. So over here as well, Rabbanon l'chayra hold that we don't apply the concept of lavud. So the fact that the second half is over the first half, lavud, 3 tvachim, does not work. Answers the Gemara, like Hashi, there's no question. Kan bezoirik, kan b'maver. The case where the Rabbanan argued with Rabbi Akiva that it has to land on something is when you're throwing it, it's flying, it's not stationary. It's flying in midair, then the Chachamim say there's no kluta k'mishahuncha, it's not absorbed as if it landed, and it has to actually land on something. But if you're holding it in your hand, it's not flying, it's not suspended midair, so then I say it's as if when you brought it over the other half of greigeris that's lying there, it's as if it landed on it, there's lavod, and therefore you chai for the full share. Tana Rabbana, we learned in another braisa, hoitzi chatzi greigeris. You took out on Shabbos a half a greigeris, v'chazav hoitzi chatzi greigeris, and then you take out another half a greigeris, behelem echad, all done in one helem. And over here the case is that now you have you combine them. You didn't take away the first half, you have the first and the second half now there together. Chayiv, so in this case you'll be chayiv. B'shtei alamais. If it was done, however, in 2 alamais, there was one shegig and then there was another shegig, so then we can't combine these. Potter. Then you're potter. Rabbi Yosi adds another detail to this. Behelem echad l'reshus echad chayiv. If it was all in one shegig, and you took out the 2 half of greigeris into the same rishos, into the same rishus harabim, from one rishus hayachet to the same rishus harabim, chayiv. Then you'll be chayiv. L'shtei rishuyos. However, if you took it out to 2 different rishuyos, to 2 different rishus harabims, for example, your rishus hayachid is in the middle between 2 rishus harabims. There's a rishus harabim on one side and a rishus harabim on the other side. So you took it out. You took out 1 half of greigeris to one rishus harabim, another half of greigeris to another rishus harabim. So then potter. then you'd be potter. You don't combine the two halves of the malacha, even if it was in the same shegig, if it's done to two different Rishus Harabbim. So Rabbi explains this opinion of Rabbi Yossi here. V'hu sheyesh chiyuv chatas beinayim. What separates between one Rishus Harabbim and another Rishus Harabbim would be a Rishus that's a Rishus Menat Torah, that there would be a chiyuv chatas to carry into that Rishus, like a Rishus HaYachid, like the example I just said. If you have a Rishus HaYachid between one Rishus Harabbim and another Rishus Harabbim, so that's a chiyuv chatas, a Rishus of a chiyuv chatas that separates between the two, and you carry one half into one Rishus Harabbim and another half into another Rishus Harabbim, then you'd be potter. That's a hefsek. Avol karmelis loy. But if the separation between the two Rishuyos, the two Rishus Harabbim that you carry to is only of a karmelis, then that's not a separation. It's considered, you can combine the two parts of the malacha. Abaya says, afil a karmelis, even a karmelis could also create a separation between the two Rishus Harabbim, and you can't combine them. Avol pisla loy. If you have a piece of wood that's lying in the width of the Rishus Harabbim and fills the entire width of the Rishus Harabbim, and you take out a half a greigeris on one side of the piece of wood and a half a greigeris on the other side of the piece of wood, that's combined. It's considered to be the same Rishus Harabbim, even though there's a piece of wood separating. But Rava Amar, and Rava says, Afilu pisla, even a piece of wood in the Rishus Harabbim, and as Taisus over here says, it has to be a large piece of wood. You'll see Taisus the dimensions for this. So even this creates a separation in the Rishus Harabbim, that if you take out to one part on the one side and on the other side, you can't combine the two halves of the malacha. What Rava says here follows his opinion elsewhere. The Omar Rava says regarding the halacha of a get, when a person gives a get to his wife, he has to place it either into her hand or into her domain, into her chotzer. If she does not own a chotzer, so then what the husband might do is he will lend a space in his own chotzer to his wife to be able to give her the get, and then he puts it into the chotzer, and that's how she receives her get. So there, Rava says, as Rashi here quotes from the Gemara in Gittin, that if he lent her a space in his chotzer, but then there was a log in the chotzer, and he threw the get into the chotzer, and instead of it landing in the chotzer, it landed on this log. The log is a separate space. He didn't lend her that space, and she didn't receive the get. The Gedushin will not take effect. So just like we say over there regarding a Gedushin, regarding Gittin, that the log of wood is a separate rishus, or it's separate from the domain, the chotzer that he lent the space to her, the same applies to Shabbos as well. The Marave rishus Shabbos k'rishus Gittin damya. Over here, defining the rishus of Shabbos is similar to the halacha by Gittin, as I just explained, as Rashi brings there. Going to the next case in the Mishnah, kechoil kedei likchoil ayin achas. The eye makeup, the amount to be mitzi on Shabbos to be chayiv is to use for one eye. Asks the Gemara, ayin achas, just for one eye? Hole kochli, people don't use it for just one eye, you use it for two eyes. That should be the minimum amount that's useful. Answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, shekein tznuais koichlois ayin achas. The women that are tznuais, they cover themselves, they cover one eye, and there's only one eye uncovered, and therefore they're using the makeup just for one eye. Meisve, the Gemara asks a question from a brayso, Rab Shimon ben Elazar Omer, k'chayil im l'refuah. So what's used to put in the eyes, by the eyes, if it's used for refuah, for as a medicine or to heal your eye, kedei likchol ayin achas, that could be used even just to heal one eye. But if it's used as a makeup, bebeis einayim, so then that has to be for two eyes. So here it clearly says that if you're using it as a makeup, it has to be for two eyes. Answers the Gemara, Tirgama Hillel Berei de Rab Shmuel ben Achmeini. So he interpreted what Rab Shimon ben Elazar said here. Kitanyahu. What does it say here? What it says in this brayso, Be'iraniyos. And the women that live in villages, as Rashi explains, they live in the villages, and therefore over there they do not have this custom of being so tznizik, of covering one eye. There aren't so many people around; it's more of a private place. So therefore, they would have both eyes uncovered. So in such a place, the minimum amount to be mitzi, to be chayiv, would be to use for both eyes. Then it said in the Mishnah, Shaiva kedei litten al pi nekev cotton. Wax to put on a small hole. Tana, we learned in a brayso, kedei litten al pi nekev cotton shel yayin. This is to make a small hole in a jug or in whatever vessel for wine to come out. Wine will come out of a small hole, but not oil or honey would not come out of a small hole. The next thing it said of the Mishnah, devek, glue, kedei litten beroish hashafshaf, to place on top of a board. So the Gemara explains what this is all about. Tana, we learned in the Braise, kedei litten beroish shafshaf. This is placed on the top of a board. Sheberoish konesh al tzayodin, a board which is placed on top of the rod of people that are capturing birds. So they put a glue there, and on that the birds come and sit down, and that captures them. Zefes v'gofris, we learned in the Mishnah, tar or sulfur, kedei lases chulu, to create a small hole. So tana kedei lases neck of cotton. What this tar and sulfur is used for is, first you cover up a large hole, and then once you cover it, you're able to make a small hole. Charsis kedei lases pikur. The charsis, which is the broken earthenware, is to make the pikur, to make the hole in a crucible that's used to refine silver. Lemeimre, so the Gemara asks, shall we say the shiura the Rabbi Yehuda nafish, that the shiur of Rabbi Yehuda, the size that Rabbi Yehuda requires to be mitzi, is larger than the size of the Rabbanan. So let's take a look at the Mishnah. What did it say? So the Rabbanan said the amount used for the pikur, for this hole in this crucible. But then Rabbi Yehuda says in the Mishnah, kedei lasa is pitput, to make a tripod that you place this crucible on it, which seems to be a larger size to make this whole tripod. So it looks like over here Rabbi Yehuda requires a larger amount. He's mekel, and he requires a larger amount to be chayiv when you're mitzi. Now the question is, but hakay melon the shiura the Rabbanan afish. But we see before in the Mishnah that the Rabbanan are the ones that were lenient and required a larger size to be chayev. The Tnan, as we learned in the beginning of the Mishnah, this is regarding a reed of grass. So Rabbi Yehuda said, what's the amount? Kedei little heimenu midas mina lekaton, to use it to measure the size of a small shoe for a child. And what did the Rabbanan there say? The amount is needed is to make a handle for a sifter, which is larger. So in the beginning of the Mishnah, we see that the Rabbanan were the ones that were more mekel, that required a larger size. Over here, when it comes to the broken earthenware, it seems like that Rabbi Yehuda is the one that's more mekel and requires a larger size. Amen. So the Gemara answers, this is how you have to learn the Mishnah. Kedei losut pitput kira ketana. We're not talking over here about making the whole tripod from this, but we're talking about to fix it. To if there's any cracks in it, lasut, to fix it, to use the charsis, to use this broken earthenware to fix it. So therefore that is a smaller amount than what the Rabbanan said. Then the next thing it said in the Mishnah was subin kedei litna pikur shel tzarfei zahav, the bran to place on the hole that there is when a thing that's used to refine the gold. Mara goes weiter to the next thing of the Mishnah. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braise, hamaitzi seyar. You carry your hair. Kedei legabel bayis atit, the amount that's yechayiv is to be used to knead into clay. Tit, carrying clay, laseis pikur shel tzarfei zahav, to make the opening for what in the crucible that's used for refining gold. Sid, kedei losud, the plaster or lime, kedei losud. So it said in the Mishnah, the lime is used to put on girls. They use this to make their skin red or shiny or nice. So the amount that yechayiv is to smear on a small limb of a girl. So the Gemara here is going to elaborate on this. Let's see. So we learned in a Braise the amount for this line is to place on a small finger of a girl. Rabbi Yehuda said, "Benois Yisrael shegiu lepirkan," the girls that arrived to their physical maturity, but v'lo yegiu l'shanim, but they are in age, they are not yet that old, so they want to remove hairs. Benois aniyim, the poor girls, Taiflois Aisan Besid, would remove it with this lime. Benois Ashirim, the richer girls, Taiflois Aisan Besailes, would remove it with the flour. Benois Malachim, princesses, Taiflois Aisan Beshemen Hamayr, would remove it with Shemen Hamayr. some kind of an oil that was able to remove this. Shenemar, as it says by Esther, Shisha Chadoshim b'Shemen Hamoir, 6 months in Shemen Hamoir. My Shemen Hamoir, what is Shemen Hamoir? Rav Huna bar Chia Omar, Sitchis. Sitchis, some kind of oil that's used for this. Okay, so what we see here in the Gemara is, although the lime is only used by the poorer girls, but nevertheless, that is the shear that we follow for everybody regarding being mitzi this lime to be chayav and Shabbos. Rav Yirmiyah bar Amba Omar, Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says, what is this Shemen Amar? Shemen Zayis Shalehiviyah Shlish. It's olive oil that the olives did not ripen a third of its growth. Tanya Rabbi Yudah, Rabbi Yudah said on Piknon. Rabbi Yudah says it's on Piknon. Shemen Zayis Shalehiviyah Shlish. Shemen Zayis, the Piknon, sorry, again, the Piknon that it says in the Mishnah, as Rashi here brings, it's a Mishnah in Menachos, that what is this Piknon? Shemen Zayis Shalohi V'Yishlish. It's the Shemen Zayis that the olives did not ripen a third. V'lama Sachin Oisai. What this Shemen Amor? Why do they smear it on their body? Shemeshet esaseyat. It causes the hairs to take off the hairs. Uma'adin abasar, and it makes the skin glow, to be nice, reddish, as we'll see here in the Gemara the story. Rav Beivoi havele brata. Rav Beivoi had a daughter. Tafla Aver, so he smeared this Shemen Amor on her, or the lime on her, one limb at a time, and it made her skin beautiful and glowing, and he was able to marry her off, and Shakaba Daled Meya Zuzi, and he received a dowry of 400 zuz for her. Havahu Nachri B'Shvivusei, so there was a guy in his neighborhood, and he saw what Rabbeivai did. Havale Brata, he also had a daughter. Tafla B'chad Zimna, and he smeared her skin with this lime, not one limb at a time, but all at once. Umeisa, and it caused her to die. Omar, so this guy said, Kotla Rav Beivai Lebrati, Rav Beivai killed my daughter. Omar Rav Nachman commented about this. Rav Beivai the Shasi Shichra, Rav Beivai that drinks beer, Bayim B'nase Tafla. His daughter needs to have this tafla to remove the lime, to remove the hairs. Anan, the loishasina shichra, we do not drink beer, so beer causes a person to have more hairs. Loi bayim nasan tafla. Our daughters do not need this tafla to remove the hairs. Going on to the next thing of the Mishnah, Rav Yudah said, Kedei losod kilkol, that the lime, the minimum amount of this lime is used to be chayiv, is to put it to kilkul. The Gemara will now explain what kilkul is. And then it said afterwards in the Mishnah, Rab Nechemya said, andifi. Kedei losod andifi. So Zok the Gemara, my kilkul or my andifi, what are these two things? Omar Rav, so Rav said, tzida, the temples, the hair on the temples, they would put this lime to keep the hairs flat. Ubast tzida. And then on the temples itself, they would put some lime over there to remove the hairs, which is even a less of an amount. The Meimre, so the Gemara again asks a similar question to what we learned before. Shall we say the shiura de Rabbi Yehuda nafish, that the shear of Rabbi Yehuda is lenient, and he has a larger shear over here for the amount of lime, because the amount that's used for the kilkul, for the hairs on the temples, is more than what they put on the temples itself to remove the hairs. But Hakaimelon, earlier in the Mishnah, we see the Shira de Rabbanan Hafish, that the Rabbanan are the ones that require a larger shear regarding making the handle for the sifter, as the Gemara quoted before. So the Gemara answers, Zute mid Rabbanan, the shear of Rabbi Yehuda over here regarding the lime is smaller than the shear of the Rabbanan. So Rabbi Yehuda is more machmer than the Rabbanan, similar to what we saw before in the mission that he's more machmer than the Rabbanan. But v'nafish mit Rab Nechemya, he's more mekel. Again. Let's do this again. Zote mit Rabbanan, the shear of Rabbi Yehuda over here is smaller than the Rabbanan, so he's more machmer than the Rabbanan. But v'nafish mit Rabbi Yehuda, it's larger than the Rab Nechemya. He's more mekel than Rab Nechemya. So he is more machmer than the Rabbanan, but more mekel than Rab Nechemya. So Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is in the middle. Meisvei, the Gemara asks a question now on the pshat that we just said here. Omar Rabbi Nirin Divrei Rabbi Yehuda b'chavot. I agree to what Rabbi Yehuda said regarding the amount of the slime, that's the minimum to be chayev regarding chavot. Says Rashi, it says chavot is this lime when it's mixed with water and it's more of a liquidy substance. So that is used for the hairs, for the temples. Over there I agree to Rabbi Yehuda. V'divrei Rab Nechemya, and I agree to Rab Nechemya bebeitzas hasid. I agree to Rab Nechemya that with Beitzas Asid, it's a different texture. Over there, I would agree to Rab Nechemya that the amount is to place on the temples itself to remove the hairs. So basically, Rabbi is saying that it doesn't have to be an argument, or I would say that I agree to Rabbi Yehuda in one case, if it's chavut, and I agree to Rab Nechemya if it's Beitzas Asid, two different kinds of textures of this lime. So now the Gemara says, based on this braisa, if the difference between kilkul and andifi that we said before, both the kilkul is the hairs on the temple, and the bas tzida refers to on the temple itself. Idi v'idi chavot, but we know that for both of them, the kind of lime that's used is the same kind of lime, the same lime which is dissolved in water, which is called chavot. So how would Rabbi here say that he agrees to Rabbi Yehuda regarding chavot, he agrees to Rabbi Nechemya regarding beitzas asid, two different kinds of lime, but we know both of them are used for the kilkul and andifi. So therefore the Gemara says a different shot. El Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amri de Bei Rabbi Ami, Amri de Bei Rabami, it was says by Rabami, andifa. When it says in the Mishnah andifi, it's talking about a completely different thing. It's not talking about the lime that's used on the skin of a girl, on her temples. It's talking about what's used in a keli, in a vessel, andifa, in order to, a klicheres, as Rashi says, an earthenware keli, that you want to insulate it. You're going to place wine in it, that the wine shouldn't come out, so you put lime inside to insulate it. That's what we're talking about. Maskefla Rav Kahana asks a question, how could this be? Will a person go and cause his money to become lost? So as Rashi explains, what this means is, if you're going to put lime inside a keli to insulate it, and then put wine inside, the lime is going to dissolve into the wine, it's going to ruin everything, it's going to ruin the wine, you're not going to have anything. So this is not used for this purpose. Elam Rav Kahana, rather Rav Kahana says, shnosais. This is used to create a sign in the kelim to see the measurement. You have a keli and you want to know the measurement of the keli. So this line was used to make sort of a line, a white line, to see the measurements, different measurements in this keli. Kedetnan, this is something that we see in a Mishnah, benegeh to what was needed for the nesachim, for the wine that was poured in the Beis HaMikdash, for the karbanis. Shnasais hayu behin. They had these signs to create, you could see the measurement of how much was needed for this hin, for this vessel that had the size of a hin for the Beis HaMikdash. At kan lepar, up until here is what's needed for an ox. As Rashi says, for an ox is needed a half a hin. At kan la'ayol, up until here is what's needed for a ram, which is a third of a hin. And at kan lekeves, and here till here is what's needed for a sheep, which is a quarter of a hin. So they had signs that they made with lime to see how much the amount is needed in this keli. So that's another pshat to what andifi means. Andifi means these signs that they use the lime for. That would be the minimum to take out in Shabbos. Another pshat the Gemara says, my andifi. What does andifi means? Apusam. This is the lime that's placed on the forehead to make the forehead red and shiny. As we can see in the statement of this person from Galil that came to Bavel. The Amrulei, they said to him, get up and share with us what you know about Ma'aser Merkava. Now we know to darshan about Ma'aser Merkava publicly is not necessarily allowed. So Gemara in a Mishnah Chagiga about this, and this is something actually that also has a connection to Shavuos, as it says when you get to the Haftarah of Shavuos, which is Ma'aser Merkava. You should give the Aliyah of the Haftarah of Ma'aser Merkava not just to anybody, but it should be to a Gadol, to a Talmid Chacham, a great person, to be able to read the Ma'aser Merkava. So to darshan Ma'aser Merkava publicly is not a simple thing. So what happened? V'amaluhu, as the Bachir Darish v'aluhu v'amaluhu, he darshaned and he said the Ma'aser Merkava. Kedidarish, Edrishlechu, Amalo Edrishlechu, another gears in the Gemara itself, Al Darshan to you, the Darish Rab Nechemya Lechavre. Like Rab Nechemya taught his friends. So when he began darshaning this, what happened was, Nafke ar Isa min Kaisel, a bee or a wasp came out of the wall, Umachse Bandifi, and bit him Bandifi, which is the forehead, Umis, and he died. Amrulei, they said to him, Mandilei do lei. What happened to him was caused by himself. Because he wasn't careful about this and he was teaching Meiser Merkava Barabim, so this is what happened to him. So here in this story, we see that Andifi refers to the forehead. So that's the Taich in the Mishnah. When Rab Nechemya says Undifi, it refers to the forehead as well. Zok the Mishnah, Adama, the minimum amount to carry out on Shabbos of earth, what's used to seal the sacks. As Rashi says, these are sacks that we use to transport things on boats. They would put some sand to seal it, to make sure that no one tampers with it. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. The Chachamim say, the earth that they place to seal letters, also to make sure that nobody tampers with it. Zevel, fertilizer, v'choyladak, and the fine sand, kedei lezabel kelach shel kruv. What's the minimum to be used for one stalk of cabbage? Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Chachamim, the Chachamim say kedei lezabel kreisha. What's used to fertilize a leek, which is, I believe, a larger size. Okay, weiter. Sagt the Mishnah, what's the next thing here? Choyel hagas, coarse sand, kidei litin al maloi kaf sid. The amount that's needed to place into the spoon of plaster that's used to paint with it. Kone, a reed, kidei lasis kolmus, to be used to make a quill. V'maya ove, if it was a thick reed, or oimerusis, or fragmented, then it can't be used for a quill. Kedei levashel by beitza kala, to be used when you cook or fry a egg, lightly for the egg that's easily fried. Kala shebebeitzim, egg amongst eggs that's easy to fry, as we'll see in the Gemara. Trufa, when it's a scrambled egg. Unesuna beilpis, and placed into the pan or into the skillet to fry this egg. So that's the size for this kana, the reed, that's not going to be used for a quill. So the Gemara starts with the case of the Mishnah where it spoke about the sand, the coarse sand. Al maloi kaf sid, what's used in the spoon of plaster. Tana, we learned in a Braisa that clarified this, kedei litein al pikaf shel sayadin. It doesn't literally mean a spoon, like a spoon that we eat from it, but it means that vessel that's used for painters that paint, so the amount that's needed for that vessel to paint with it. Now the Gemara says, Man Tana d'choil mai lilei l'sid. Who is the Tana that says that coarse sand is good for the plaster? It can be used for the plaster. And therefore that's what you would be chayav for if you carry it out. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya we learned, Lo yasod adam es beisai bisman hazeh, after the Churban Abayis and in the time of Golos. So zeichel l'churban, a person should not paint his house besid with white plaster, with clear, beautiful white plaster, elam kain idiv by teven eichayil, unless you mix some straw or some coarse sand in it that takes away the whiteness of it a little bit. So that's how you should paint your house. It shouldn't be clear and beautiful white. Rabbi Yehuda says teven muter. If you place the teven in it, if you put straw in it, then it's allowed. But choil aser. If you put the sand in it, then it's not allowed. The sand is actually good for the plaster. It makes it hard and strong, and it's going to be white and very nice. And therefore, with the sand, they're not allowed. Elam kain, tarchesid. Okay, so what do we see here? Rabbi Yehuda, his opinion was that the sand is actually beneficial for this paint, for this plaster. Not according to the Rabbanon, though. The Tanna Kama says that it's not good for it. It makes the quality less good. Rava says, in our Mishnah that it talks about the shear of the sand, and it says that the shear is to place it into the plaster, it could follow the opinion of the Rabbanon that says that it's not good for the paint. Why? The fact that you're ruining it, this is what makes it fit for use. Because Terei Chachamim made the takana that you should not paint the house with clear white plaster, but it should be done after you place the sand inside, so bisman hazeh, that's what the sand is used for, and therefore that's the minimum amount. Kil kuloi zeh tikunai. In this case, ruining it is making it fit for use. The Rebbe would use this Gemara, this term of the Gemara, which is brought in other places as well. Kil kuloi zeh takanasai, that regarding golus, we see certain things that are lacking, that we don't have, that we had bisman abayis. But nevertheless, that itself brings about certain benefits in our Avodas Hashem that we didn't even have bisman habayis. There were a few different examples that Rebbe used for this. This is the source of this concept. Sometimes in the time of Golus, there are certain things that itself brings about a certain aspect of benefit in our Avodas Hashem. The next thing it said in the Mishnah was konekadelasis kulmis, a reed to be used for a quill. Tana kulmis, how large is this quill? Hamegia lekishretz baisav. It reaches to the joints of his fingers. Bay Ravashi kesher elyain, the top joint, or kesher tachten, or the bottom joint of his fingers. It's not clear exactly how big this quill has to be. Take Gemara doesn't resolve this. Vaita zak the Gemara vim hoya ove was a thick quill. So then the shear is for what's used to fry an egg that's easy to fry. Tanem trufa b'shemen. So we learned that it's scrambled with oil unasuna beilfis, and it's placed into a skillet. This is fried very quickly. Amalei Mar berei de Ravina lebrei. Mar, the son of Ravina, said to his son, Mi shmielacha beitza kala maihi. Did you hear? What's this beitza kala? When it said in the Mishnah, an egg that's fried easily, what is this? Which egg is this? Amalei, he answered his father, Beyasa de tziltzila. The egg of a tziltzila. As Rashi here says, it's a small bird. Or as I saw some teaching, it's a turtle dove. Okay, small bird. That's small, very small egg which fries very quickly. My time in Mishum de Zutre. So what's the reason? Because it's very small. So his father said to him, if so, Eimid de tzifrisse, why don't you say the egg of a tzifrisse, which is also a small egg? Ishtik. So he was quiet. Amalei, he said to his father, now, Midi shmielacha baha, did you hear anything about this? Which egg is this egg that fries lightly, easily? Amalei, hachi amar Rav Sheshes, this is what Rav Sheshes said, Beitzas tarnagoylis, the egg of a chicken. Umay, va'amai, karile, Beitzas, and Beitza kala. Why is it referred to as an egg that fries lightly, easily? Shiru chachamim, because the chachamim were meshayer. Ein lecha beitza kala levashel yotzei mi beitza tarnagaylis. An egg that fries the easiest is the egg of a chicken. Umay shna kolshu. So now his son asked him, Umay shna kolshu yurei Shabbos, or perhaps this is the Gemara asking the question. Umay shna kolshu yurei Shabbos kegreigeris v'hacha kebeitza. Why, regarding all shiurim of Shabbos, the minimum amount of food that a human being eats is the shear of a fig size, and over here the shear is the size of frying an egg. Amalei, hachi yom Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman explained the pshat in the Mishnah, kegreigeris mi beitza kala. Over here as well, this reed, the shear is to be able to fry the amount, the size of a greigeris of this egg that fries easily. So it actually doesn't have to be a full egg even. It's the size of a greigeris of this egg that fries easily. Okay, that's the end of the Gemara for today.